sometimes you feel like you want to do roll call in the chat. Got some of our usuals in there. Got Small Town Strip Club. You're hearing them right now. Lately, I've been ODing on Small Town Strip Club and Whiskey Town. Anybody out there fans of Whiskey Town? Damn, they're good. Only like 3 albums. So good. Welcome to the program. Glad to have you aboard today. Still waiting for it to happen. I'll be honest with you. I thought by now it would have happened. I would have got that little tickle, like, get excited, Jeffy. This is international hockey. You've always loved this. As a kid, your eyes were opened wide. Rogie Vachon, Dennis Potvin, Bobby Clark, Daryl Sittler. Sittler scores on Vladimir Zurilla. Canada Cup 76, Jeffy. International hockey. You love this stuff, Jeffy. Still no. I don't know. I don't think it's that I've fallen out of love for international hockey either. It's just, it's kind of where I'm at, Zach Phillips, if that is indeed your real name. It's kind of where I'm at still. Are you getting warmer to it? Are you getting the soap and warm water feeling now? Are you getting all excited? Just here we go. Jordan Binnington starting for Canada. Can't wait.
I was holding on to this all day. I started it this morning. I was watching
the
morning cup of hockey, and all of a sudden it was like, you know what? I'm starting to feel it. Maybe it's because I've got bets, or maybe it's because I'm hearing it from people in the U.S. who are like, Big Willie in the chat all the time. I'm here talking about it. I'm listening to the boys on the morning show, and then I'm like, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm in. I'm in. I want Canada to kick the shit out of the U.S. Pardon my language, and I'm all the way in. Like I kind of care now. Like I'm excited. Tomorrow's gonna come around, and I'm like, I'm not missing this game. I've got to watch it.
Make no mistake about it. I'm going to watch all of it. I'm going to watch every single minute of every single game. I just don't have that international hockey tingle that I normally get. Maybe the problem is me, Zach. Maybe this is an issue for me and my therapist. Maybe it's not something I should be hanging out here in front of everybody every day, grousing about how I can't get excited. I can't get excited about international hockey. It's like international hockey impotence. I just can't do it anymore, doctor. I don't know what it is. The problem is I don't know what's wrong. It's kind of how
we're going to have Wish on for like an hour here today, and maybe he can poke and prod at you enough to get something fired.
All right, well, let's get to that. But first, we'll get to the Daily Outlines. Daily Outlines presented by our good friends at FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook app provider and partner here on this program. As my international hockey therapy continues, I do have an update on the 2 officials that were assaulted in Seattle over the weekend. I'm going to bring that to you in a couple of moments. I tweeted it out, and I have a couple of more things to update as well. Greg Wyshynski, for our good friend from ESPN. It is Tuesday, and that means MvsW Redux for all you old school MvsWers. 4 Nations Therapy, 4 Nations Cheer Club, 4 Nations light some kind of fire under your boy here about this 4-team international tournament. Did you see the news about Jordan Binnington? And funny videos. I've got some. We put this out yesterday. This is after Jamie Benn's 8th goal as Dallas beats the San Jose Sharks on Saturday. And it's something that I'm still laughing at. I'll still watch it, Zach. I'll still watch Jamie Benn score on a very lazy wrist shot, skate to the bench, no train down the bench, nothing, and just sit his ass down. I'm still laughing about it. I know it's 2 days in a row here, but I still find it really funny. Quick update before we get to Wish. The Seattle Kraken will be reaching out, if they haven't already, to the 2 officials, the 2 young officials, a 13 and 14-year-old who were assaulted over the weekend in Seattle. They will be inviting them and their families to a game. It sounds like they're going to do something really special for them. I don't know, let them officiate. That's what one person suggested to me. But it sounds like some good is coming out of this at those 2 young gentlemen who had the nerve to try to officiate a 12U House League game. They will be going to a Seattle Kraken game, and Seattle, it's a class organization. They'll do something really special for those kids as well. Not sure about the officials association, the NHL Officials Association, but I would imagine that they'll be reaching out if they haven't already as well. So Seattle Kraken, major stick taps. As we say in French, comme on dit en français, First star, La Première Étoile today, the Seattle Kraken. Let's bring aboard Greg Wyshynski.
Well, we got to wait for Wish 1 second.
We do? What's he doing? He was just on like
he
a
just
second ago.
texted me and said.
So before the show starts, like he gets all queued up. He's sitting there all cozy, ready to go, ready to spout off and insult people and provide us great clips that get people really angry. And then when we want to throw to him.
Really angry.
So I turned around and there he was, gone. Greg Wyshynski. And I even got all dressed up for him too today.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wish.
I knew.
Thanks, buddy.
I've gotten more used to it now, like working with you for this short period of time here. I know when you're going to like start to throw. And then right before then, I'm like, I get a text from Wish. Got to reconnect real quick. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he's just coming back in. We'll be fine. No. We'll be fine. But he's reconnecting.
Right. He's off vaping.
Can I ask you something?
He's off vaping. Yes, shoot.
You don't care about the Four Nations yet, or not excited about the Four Nations.
I'm going to watch all of it. I'm going to watch every minute. I'm not going to miss a second of it, but meh.
I will get there.
Okay.
As I think Wish is reconnecting here, and we can get to him and on this one, and maybe he has some thoughts on this as well here, Jeff. But I'm curious, have you looked at these goalie masks? And dug into
they
that.
Look great.
And do these excite you?
Yes. Those do. Okay. I don't need the tournament. I could just look at the masks. I could just, drive down the 404 and I can get to Yonge and Front Street and I can go to the Hockey Hall of Fame and I can see some really cool masks there too.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's like 20 minutes away from me. I can go anytime, maybe 30. I can go anytime.
I'm going to try.
Cool masks. But the
now
masks
that I'm
look
in
awesome.
and I'm excited, I'm gonna try to drag Jeff.
You're gonna try to drag me in?
I'm gonna try it again.
All right, I can go. Like I'm excited about the masks. The masks look really good. The masks look good. I've seen some of the goalie kits. They look good. The nationalistic goalie kits. They look really fantastic, and that's all fine. But it's a 4-country again. Like I was saying yesterday, just what I'd be excited about? Canada versus U.S. 5 games. Go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I would
too.
Be excited about. He's good?
Yeah, he's good.
All right. Hey, Wish.
What's up?
That was not like a connection issue, right? Like, what was it? Like, quick bong hit.
So apparently
mix a whiskey soda. What was it?
My Disney corporate overlords have set my browser to occasionally have to be restarted. And I had 40 minutes left on the browser before it automatically restarted.
What?
So I can either do it right before I hop on, or I'm going to be mid-thought, and then it just kills it. Listen, I like you struggled a little bit in getting excited for this tournament, but I got to admit.
Are you there?
I got to admit that hearing Jordan Binnington as the starting goaltender for Canada was like a wheelbarrow full of Cialis being poured down my throat. I am like a Titan rocket right now, thinking about Canadian goaltending in this tournament.
Wow, and, he barely has enough loose skin to blink right now because he just found out that Jordan Binnington is the starting netminder for Team Canada against Sweden. Blink to make sure. Okay, you can blink. So you're not.
Hold on.
Not fully erect yet.
Let me put you on the couch for a moment. I'll play Dr. Floyd for you.
Yeah, get me excited about this, Doctor. I'm just not there yet. I don't know.
So you're not excited because it's a fake tournament, correct? That's the reason why you're not excited?
2 things. 1, it's a fake tournament. 2, I was mentioning this on the show ad nauseum yesterday. In the spirit of just give the people what they want. You know what I'd be excited about?
Yeah.
Canada versus U.S. best of 5. Give me that. And I'm forget it. I don't Stanley Cup. Who cares? Just give me Canada U.S. best of 5.
I don't disagree with you that for me and you, and for everybody listening to the pod, most of the people listening to the pod, that's the most exciting thing that could happen. If you really want to get us excited about the Olympics, give us 5 games, 3 to 5 games of this generation of young players representing Canada, representing the U.S., and going toe to toe, and then you kind of eliminate the, for lack of a better example, USA Finland of it all, which is a game that has to happen in this tournament, and that none of us really know how it will be played, what it will look like, how many people will be in the stands for it. it would cut to the chase. Now, the good thing about Four Nations is that we're guaranteed to cut to the chase once. Saturday is going to be one of the greatest days in recent hockey history. Finland and Sweden.
Or hang on, or one of the worst.
No, I disagree. Finland and Sweden don't know how to play a game that's not nasty and competitive. And the fact that game is on in prime time in Sweden and Finland, even if those guys don't care at all about this tournament, and after talking to some Swedes, I don't think they do. I think they care more about like Worlds than this tournament, which is really saying something. Yeah. But that game's going to matter because they know their friends are watching back home. And we obviously know that the USA-Canada game is going to matter because it's going to be Bell Center, 20,000 Canadian fans waving little flags. They're going to boo the anthem. The USA kids want to beat the Canadian kids and vice versa. Crosby, McDavid, the Kachucks, Eichel, they don't know how to play a game that's not nasty and competitive when it's in this environment. Okay. Like, that's going to be worth the price of admission, and then you could take or leave the rest of this event for 2 weeks.
Bill Beck in the chat with the early candidate for line of the chat today. Greg is planning on shampooing a family of baby bears.
That's true. Call Werner Herzog. I'm going to be Grizzly Man.
Yeah. Oh man, one of my favorite documentaries. One of the most psycho documentaries I've ever seen in my life.
Shout out Timothy Treadwell.
I know the late, spoiler, the late Timothy Treadwell. Spoiler, he's hanging out with a lot of grizzly bears. Spoiler, he doesn't make it to the end of the documentary. No, but here's the thing.
You've got to be excited about Saturday, right?
I'm interested in Saturday.
You're interested.
No, because I just can't get
that game's not going to be competitive?
No, I think it'll be a competitive game. I just trust me. By the time Saturday rolls around, I'll probably be into this. Like, I'm gonna watch it's not like I'm gonna tune out Canada, Sweden. Like, I'm not gonna. Of course, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch all of it. Like, I'm not gonna miss a single minute of this tournament. But this isn't. I can't compare this to any of the old Canada Cups, World Cups, Olympics, any of it. And, I'll tell you what, like the kind of the malaise for me kind of started in 2016. Well, really, there have been a couple, some real bummer moments in international hockey. And the biggest bummer moment was 2004. Like, that was the biggest bummer tournament in the history of international hockey. You know why, Greg? And I'm going to tell you why. Because we all knew 24 hours after that tournament ended what was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
NHL players were getting locked out. Yes. They went from Canada wins, and then 24 hours later, there's Gary Bettman at the podium announcing a lockout, which ended up scrubbing a season. And it was like, this is the last hockey we're going to see for a long time here. Like, we all knew this one was going to be a lengthy lockout. So that was a bummer. And then 2016 was really interesting because it gave us Team North America, which was super cool. And that game, and I was so glad that I was in the stands. Actually, you know who I was sitting next to watching that North America-Sweden game, which in this generation is one of the best hockey games ever played. Sitting next to Tyler Dello. It was just on a random, it's like a Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday after, whenever it was, an afternoon game. And I was working at doing Facebook Live shows with Colby Armstrong and Ryan Whitney, and I was just like, okay, I got some time. I'm going to watch North America and Sweden, which was maybe the best, well, I shouldn't say maybe. It was the best game of the tournament. It was phenomenal. Great hockey. It was a low bar. But if you put that exact game in any international tournament, Greg, aren't you saying like that's a tremendous game? It's a phenomenal. That's a tremendous game,
but it was also tremendous because it was the chance to see all those U23 kids together. Yeah. They all cared, and so this is the part that has me excited. Like, I'm genuinely excited to see McDavid on Team Canada and Makar on Team Canada. We've not seen it before. I'm genuinely excited to see Eichel, Matthews, the Kachucks, Jack Hughes, all these guys represent the U.S. for the first time in their careers in a best on best tournament. When we really mean an NHL endorsed tournament, right? Is what we kind of mean. So to see that, remember the old itch the All-Star game used to scratch, dude? Where the joy of the All-Star game was, are you telling me that Wayne Gretzky will skate in the same game on the same side as Jeremy Roenick? That kind of thing used to be the reason you watched. And that's the kind of itch that this will scratch for me.
I want to see it first. I need to see it first.
Fine.
I need to see it again. Like the runway for this one is not there for me this time around. Maybe again, like I was saying off the top of the show, this is all me. Like, am I just becoming like old, jaded, grumpy guy about international hockey? Because this is my favorite love. Like, international hockey is like my favorite thing in the world. But I love seeing, like, I love it when the NHL goes overseas to see how that culture treats hockey, how that country treats hockey. You get in the trolley tracks here in North America of, this is the way we present hockey, this is the way we play hockey, this is how the fans behave, this is the merchandise, this is all of it that goes, this is the commentary, etc. And then you go and you see hockey in Europe, and you're like, well, there are other ways to enjoy and consume and present this wonderful sport. Like, I still love international hockey. It's just this one isn't there at all for me. Again, it may all change tomorrow when Canada faces off against Sweden and loses 4-3 and everybody gets nervous. Right? And Binnington's pulled in the first.
Yep. Right.
And someone's injured. Someone's injured. And oh God, here we go. But you know what? I was having this conversation with someone yesterday that for Team Canada, I was mentioned this on the show yesterday. Let me think about this one. I believe between Canada and the United States, whoever loses this tournament actually wins. And here's why.
Okay.
Hang on. Work with me on this one. And trust me. Hang on. And Canada just went through this with the juniors.
Define lose, though. Lose in the championship or not make the championship?
Either way.
Okay.
Either way. Don't win. There's going to be 3 losers here. Okay? If Canada doesn't win, if the United States doesn't win, they actually win. And here's why. The real prize is the Olympics. The real prize is what happens next year. Okay? That's the real prize. And I've seen it too many times. You've seen it too many times. Canada gets ridiculed for it too many times. Most recently, 5 minutes ago in Ottawa at the World Juniors. They get lulled into making really bad emotional decisions based on things like loyalty to the program when it comes to selecting their team. If Canada destroys this tournament, is there not going to be an element of, well, even though Brad Marchand is 38 years old, he was really good at the Four Nations, and we've seen it before. Hockey Canada can get lulled into making decisions based on, well, they won last time. Let's keep the band together with the same philosophy and not worry about who's actually playing well and what might work in the Olympics because these guys just won the Four Nations face-off.
Shout out Drew Doughty. Yeah.
Again, remember Drew, awesome, Vancouver 2010, he was the 7th defenseman. Next thing you know, he's anchoring our power play. Yes, I know, but it's been a long time here now, and it might be time to say goodbye to some of these guys. And I think it's a lot easier to do it if your eyes on the prize for the Olympics if Canada doesn't do well at this tournament. What do you think of that?
Well, I think 2 things. First of all, the unsaid thing here for you, and it's something that I always have to point out as the American speaking on Canadian media, is that essentially what you're doing is setting up another bullshit Canadian underdog story. That's why Vancouver felt so good, is because you guys lost in the prelims to the US, and so then when you won, it wasn't just winning the gold medal on home ice. It was also overcoming the odds. You guys love it when you can pretend to be the underdog, and this would just help reestablish that. You guys against the evil empire of the U.S., just like you were against the evil empire of Soviets and all this other nonsense.
No. I don't look at it like that.
You guys love being the underdog, even though you have the greatest hockey talent in the world every single tournament.
You see, this is where I differ, and this is what makes me horribly unpopular amongst a lot of people. Because I think what you're talking about is 1972, right? And Canada setting it's a great comeback against the evil empire, and look at these guys. What did they feel? It's the Soviet training. They vanished to the Black Sea for 2 months, and they come back, and you can't even lift up their sticks. Hand out the Dixie cups. We don't like all that crap, right? So I'm of the belief that when it came to 1972, Canada thinks the most important game was Game 8 when Henderson scored. I think the most important game in that tournament was game number 1 at the Forum when the Soviets dismantled Canada, and all of a sudden everything changed. Everything that's been like that moment in the Forum in Montreal, game 1, when Canada lost. There were a lot of people that maintain, and I'm one of them, that was the actual birth of international hockey. Because there was always that idea that, we don't send the pros to the World Championships. We don't send the NHLers. They are so much far superior. When Canada lost in game 1, everything changed. Everything changed, and that began true international hockey. And what happened afterwards? There was Canada Cup 76, and that was a really successful turn, and et cetera, et cetera. And we can go on. And then the rise of the World Junior Hockey Championships, and in through now, and there's been, come here, go away with the Olympics. But hopefully we can have a robust international schedule, which is not just Olympic participation, but also a World Cup of Hockey every 4 years as well. So, you get your 2 years of international and your 2 years of All-Star, and those are your breaks every year for the guys. I don't look at it as if I need my country to set up to set up this Davy and Goliath type metaphor. I really don't, because at the end of it, I don't care. Like, I'm a Canadian that's happy that other countries are really good. Because my entire life, my entire life, I've always said, like, this is such a great game. Why don't other countries understand that? And now other countries understand that, specifically the United States, and they're getting better than Canadians at it. All of a sudden, my country is saying, whoa, we wanted you to like this and get good at it, but not so good that you would beat us. I've always found that really annoying. We've helped export this wonderful game. Americans have paid attention, love it, and are getting better at it, if not already better at it than we are. So I don't care about Canada winning or anybody winning. I just care about the game getting more popular and more people picking up sticks.
I'm intrigued to see what happens if the U.S. wins, because, we've worn the underdog uniform since 1980, maybe even before that. It's been our nature to believe that we enter these tournaments.
Congratulations! You beat up a bunch of hungover Russians.
Needing
well
to prove
done,
something.
Kids.
And we design our teams like in Sochi to try to beat Canada 1-0, because we simply could not stand toe to toe with the Canadian offensive machine. We had to bring Ryan Callahan to the Olympics. We had to do all of these things because we inherently couldn't be as good as Canada or the Soviets. We are. And so I'm intrigued to see what happens if the U.S. wins this tournament. I'm intrigued to see what happens if they beat Canada in Bell Center, and then they end up winning what was a very dirty trophy. I don't know why they couldn't shine that bad boy up before CJ took a picture of it before. If you can find it on Twitter, yeah. It's very, I touched the bathroom mirror too many times. And I'm intrigued to see what that is. Is there swagger inherent to American hockey? Because there's swagger inherent to America in World Juniors now. Like, we no longer go to World Juniors and believe that we don't belong. We go to World Juniors expecting to win, as we've done 3 out of 5 times. So if they run through this tournament, and it's Eichel and Matthews and the Tkachuks and Hughes and all these guys playing to their abilities and skating the Canadians out of the rink and winning the gold medal, what does that mean psychologically to 2026? Does that mean we no longer enter the Olympics thinking, well, we've got to uphold the virtues of 1980 and somehow overcome the odds? Or do we walk into, the Italian Olympics with the theme song from Shaft playing in our minds? Because that's how much swagger we have at this point.
Ooh, that's really good. Can I ask you a frivolous question?
Always.
Cup or plate? What do you prefer as an award? When it comes to hockey, we award things that we put on the dinner table, either cups or plates. I don't know what it is about hockey, but it's a cup that you win at the end of the year at the NHL. Now, the World Juniors is a cup. I miss the era of plates where they would hand out the championship plate. Do you have a preference? Handing out a cup or a plate? Should your trophy be something you drink from or eat off of?
I can't believe you didn't include paperweight from the Fortress of Solitude gift shop like we had at the World Cup. Why wasn't that one of the choices?
You know what? Paperweight was the 2004 one as well. I remember watching Mario look at that thing and I have to hold.
What do you do with this?
Hold this? What is this thing? I've always found it interesting the way that hockey's all just about eating and drinking. We celebrate it with our awards. Here's a plate.
I'll be honest.
Here's a cup.
I'm a cup guy. I actually think the only plate in sports that I really like is Wimbledon.
Wimbledon?
Like to see someone win at Wimbledon and then hold up the big plate is always one of my favorite things. I always think of like Serena holding up the big plate. But give me a cup all the time in hockey. I mean, we're a drinking sport.
There it is.
Again, is it just the way the metal is or
It's
whatever?
probably...
Because that thing looks dirty.
Yeah.
It looks like one of your uncle's all bowling trophies in the back of the living room. I don't know what's going on here with this trophy.
Where's that going to go in the Hall of Fame Resource Center? Can you pop that one up there one more time, Zach, for all of our viewers on YouTube? That's a one and done. Like, that trophy is made for one event. There's not going to be
it literally
multiple...
has the year on the bottom, yeah.
Like, this is the only time you're going to do this. And maybe that's part of why I'm just not there yet, because I just know that this isn't going to be on any calendar. There's not going to be another Four Nations face-off. And even the NHL was like, I got to give them credit, because even the NHL was like, we had to do something. It's like, right. Remember when Crosby was beaking about the Olympics? Like, give the baby his bottle. Like, we got to do something here. We got to do some kind of something. Okay, here's Four Nations face-off. Like, that's going to go from whoever wins it to the Hockey Hall of Fame Resource Center. Not the Hall of Fame. Well, it might be up for a little bit in the Hall of Fame. And then they're just going to stick it in the Resource Center, and it's going to sit there gathering dust. And it's going to be a collector's
item. They get gold. They get gold
there.
Medals too, which is pretty cool. Every young hockey player likes a gold medal. Do you think part of your issue with this? And by the way, I just want to say before I say this, I respect that you're honest with your feelings. I think we have some colleagues that are constantly begging for more international hockey. They get this tournament and they treat the thing like it's the Olympics.
It's
like
not.
they're giving it import and coverage that goes beyond what it actually is.
Hang on.
Which is a mid-season replacement for the All-Star game that has at least a modicum more relevance.
How many tweets did you see today announcing Jordan Binnington starting for Team Canada?
This is what I'm talking about. And also lines at practice and everything. I mean, it's just, it's too much. But listen, I will say, so that's, I want to celebrate your contrarianism to that regard.
I'm not being contrarian. I'm honestly, I feel like this way legitimate. Like there are some moments in your career where you take a adversarial stance on an issue just because it's going to produce good conversation. But
no,
really, I'm just
I've
not
never
there.
done that.
I'm just not there. No, we've both done it.
Do you think part of the problem is that you've gone to see the movie after reading all the spoilers? Like, why this tournament exists. It exists. They couldn't find a way to put Russia in a World Cup-y thing because then Sweden and Finland wouldn't participate. Do you feel like you know too much about history of how we got here to really respect this as anything other than a real gimmicky affair?
I don't know that I've thought about it that much. I don't know that I've actually tried to intellectualize why I've done this. This is just I'm just spilling. I'm just like, on this show, I'm just like, I'm at a point in my career where I just don't care. So it's like, this is how I feel about things. This is how I feel. Like, no BS. Like, this is,
you were always so demure and reserved in your opinions.
But like, you work for a rights holder. It's got to be like, all right, everybody, here we go. This is the Olympic. I can't do it. I can't do it. Anyhow, we're spending a lot on this. We're spending a lot.
Can I just say something though?
Yeah.
Can I just say something though? Like, I think where I am, I'll put a bow around it. Like, I'm much more optimistic than you are that this is going to be good. I think Saturday is going to be great. Like, I think we're going to be talking about Saturday and Saturday night for a very long time. And then if we have the good fortune of seeing the USA and Canada again in Boston for the championship, Katie barred the door. We're going to have a hell of a good time.
Can we put that in Philly, by the way? Hang on. If just can we call it one off? Can we just for the nastiness factor? Boston's nasty, but if you want like the nasty factor, ratchet it up. If that's the final, can we have it in Philadelphia?
Sure, or put it in Buffalo so we can have a split house. How dope would that be? Where I'll agree with you is this. I can't get over calling it a best on best tournament. Like I'm going to try to refer to this thing going forward as an NHL tournament because best on best without the Russians, without Pasternak, without Draisaitl, without the Swiss. That's hard, man. It's hard to really like kayfabe a best on best. The first time we're seeing Austin Matthews in a best on best, although Nikita Kucherov isn't there. Like there's a part of me that can't do it.
Is this the part of you that's like, I can't go along with WrestleMania 3. Oh, look at Andre finally got body slammed. When a quick check on YouTube will show whether it's Harley Race or Kinect or whomever. take your pick.
This is the part of me. This is 3 degrees away from the part of me that's like, can you really call it the World Series if no teams from Japan are in it? Like, there's a part of me that believes that too.
Hang on, is this true that the reason it's called the World Series is because it was originally sponsored by the World newspaper out of Chicago, and even though that newspaper no longer exists, maybe it's because of sports arrogance, they just kept the term the World Series when it really was a sponsorship from the World newspaper. Is that true?
I don't know. I always assumed it was American hubris. And speaking of that, we've talked about in this show about the political undercurrent for this tournament and how it's very hard for me to do the usual Greg Wyshynski as a jingoistic patriot act when real world events have made it very difficult. That being said, again, this show is nothing if not Greggy and Jeff are very honest with everybody. And I will be honest with you. There was a moment this morning, and I don't want it to ever happen again, but there was a moment this morning when I briefly thought to myself, if they did become the 51st state, then that means we'd have access to McDavid, McCarr, and McKinnon in perpetuity. Right. And no one would ever beat us at anything.
Yes.
And that was, I shut it off. I don't want to think that way because it would be horrible, and I hate everything that's happening right now. But there was a part of me that briefly thought, McDavid and Kachucks? Well, that'd be something, wouldn't it?
Weird on this one, too, is we all know what's going to happen when the U.S. anthem is played.
Oh, yes, we do.
But the dynamic...
Especially in Montreal, my God.
But the dynamic is like... And I can just speak for myself. Like, I understand it. I think we all do. But it's not as if, bluntly, it's not as if Canadians hate Americans or hate America.
No.
Right? Like, at all. Like, I've spent countless hours lately, obviously, talking to my American friends, and there's been a whole lot of like, oh, I can't believe this. Like, and on both sides,
it's
like
very embarrassing.
It's awful, and I know what's going to happen on Saturday, but I don't think like it's a weird dynamic because I don't think that anyone's just venting on this as like all of a sudden I hate my buddy Greg in New York. Like, no, I don't.
You don't,
right? Like, it's not like that. It's about one very specific issue, and I just hope that doesn't get turned into something other than what it is. Put it this way, it's a very Canadian way to feel, and I understand that. Like, my Canadian is showing here. I don't want like my American friends to think that this is our comment on them. This is about a very specific issue that not all of our friends are lined up in agreement with. I think you know what I'm trying to say here, Greg. Like, I just don't want it to be, I just don't want it to turn into something that it's not. And this isn't, well, now Canadians hate Americans, because that's not true. It's about one very specific thing. that has
it'll
nothing
get turned
to do
into
with
that.
it.
Like,
I hope
inevitably it'll
not.
get turned
I
into
hope
that.
not. I hope it doesn't.
But it will, though. Like I mean, that's just kind of how it works, right? It's building up the adversarial relationship through certain media outlets. I mean, that's just how it is. Look, I think Americans, by and large, for the most part, kind of see this thing as, having that friend you've got to apologize for. Everybody's got that friend where you kind of like walk out of the bar.
Oh, he's here.
The friend is already the friend is already staggered back out to the pickup truck, and you turn around to the bartender. You're just like, I'm sorry. We don't. We have to. We do this a lot now. Like, this is something that just happens. And here's $20 for the glass that he broke. And and we kind of just we're living our lives knowing that there's somebody in our lives that is breaking a lot of glasses and ruining a lot of experiences at bars for us right now, if you know what I'm saying. So that's kind of how we're going through life right now.
Okay, let's park the World Cup stuff or World Cup Four Nations stuff right now. Let's anything else you want to add to this one? Because we've done a lot on something that I'm not really that interested in. But it's good to talk it. It's good for me to talk it out. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Again, I will watch everything.
I know, of course we will. I feel kind of shocked by how many guys are playing in it, to be honest with you. Like, there's certain
do you think
players
it was going to be a domino after Alex Pietrangelo? He did.
I thought it was going to be or around the Quinn Hughes thing. Like, I really thought there'd be more guys taking the break.
Okay, here's a question.
And with the NHL not having there be any punishment for opting out, I really thought more players would. But maybe it's indicative of how excited they are. Oh, there is one thing I wanted to say, which is that if you are looking for this to be an appetizer to 2026, you have to acknowledge that there is something on the line for like half the roster for the U.S. and Canada, which is that we know who is going to be there. But there's also a lot of players that are playing for their spots. Like Seth Jarvis is playing for a spot. And some of the guys that are in the bottom 6 in the U.S. are playing for a spot in the Olympics because they're looking over their shoulder and seeing Clayton Keller and Tage Thompson and Cole Caulfield and a bunch of other guys that didn't make the cut ready to hop in if they don't perform. So I do think that there is something interesting about this tournament vis-a-vis what we'll see in 2026. I don't know how much the USA Brain Trust, as an example, will look at this and say, well, this guy went 0 in 3 games, and we obviously can't have him on the Olympic team or whatever. But I do think that these guys are approaching it as, in some cases, like Brock Nelson, for example. Like, this is my audition to make sure that they know that I'm important to a win in Italy.
If this was the Olympics and not the Four Nations, are Quinn Hughes and Alex Pietrangelo playing?
Yes! Quinn Hughes is playing for the Canucks this week if there were Canucks games. Rick Tocchet said as much.
Yeah.
I mean, Rick Tocchet said as much.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
So, J-Rock, so Jeff hates international play. Oh, my God, you don't know me at all. Like, I love international hockey. Like, it's my first love. But good. Okay, a few things. A little bit, sounds of my youth died. Can I tell you about Paul Morris?
Please.
So Paul Morris was the voice of Maple Leaf Gardens. I don't know if you have like these attractions to like voices from your past. Like, I've told you before about my love for Ted Darling, who I will always, with all due respect to the late Rick Jenneret and Dan Dunleavy, who I think is a very underrated play caller, the voice to me of the Buffalo Sabres is always Ted Darling. That's the one I grew up on. And the voice that I grew up on going to Maple Leaf Gardens was Paul Morris, who passed away yesterday. It's like the voices, I don't know why, I don't even know that I have a point here, other than I just want to make mention that Paul Morris and anyone that went to Maple Leaf Gardens, he had like a very measured tone. It didn't matter what happened. He wasn't rising there with the audience or falling with the audience on a sad moment. It was that old school, very much my voice can't editorialize, which is gone now, right? Like everything, and I understand why. Like everything is like editorialize with your voice, raise and lower. Paul Morris was just that one constant voice, which actually made big moments bigger because when the place would go nuts, he wouldn't rise to it to add a log to the fire. The place would rise to a level, like Gilmore scores the wraparound goal and the place goes nuts, but the announcement is here. The announcement is much lower and much more measured and not editorial, and that makes the reaction that much more pronounced. That's missed now in the NHL. I just want to make mention of Paul Morris passing away. That's all. A voice of my youth, Greg. Voice of my youth.
The voice of my youth was the opposite of that. It was shot by Crosby, save Brodeur, rebound Malkin, save Brodeur, waffle boarded away, and play is stopped.
No, but that's a play. No, but that's Doc though. But that's Doc. He's the play-by-play voice. I'm talking about the in-house announcer, Paul Morris. Yeah. Like Paul was like, goal scored by number 27, Daryl Sittler, assist number 21, Boreas Salming. Like that was.
So you're saying less about editorial than him having like the fact that announcers are all hype people now inside of the arena.
They're part of the entertainment. They're part of the entertainment.
They're part of the
entertainment. I get it.
They're part of hockey
but the thing
operations.
Is, that's what people
game operations.
That's what people want, and that's cool. I just think that there's still room in my hockey world for the right down the middle. Non-editorializing, announce the goal.
I kind of would be curious to see what that would sound like in the modern NHL.
So do I.
Having a PA announcer,
yes,
who when there's a power play simply says it's now time for a power play.
Yes, yes,
I'm not like
100%.
It's time for the Energy.com power play.
Yes, 100%. I do want to hear that. I do miss it. I understand where. We all understand how the game is presented now and everything's part of the entertainment and get the crowd revved and all that kind of stuff. But I do want to hear what that would sound like in today's day and age. Because you go back and listen, like it really, more than anything else, it really pronounces how big a moment is by underselling it with the goal announcement because the crowd just carries it. You just allow the crowd to carry it. You don't be part of the river going downstream. You just let that crowd carry it. Anyway, Paul Maurice has passed away. Paul Morris, rather. Paul Maurice. No, Paul Maurice still very much alive. Sorry. I just killed Paul Maurice? Sorry, Paul. I apologize. Sorry about that, buddy. Paul Morris.
Well, Paul Maurice then speaking for 45 minutes straight about how someone said he died. Made me think about coffins and blah, 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 blah.
Quick, someone tweet that. Marek announcing on the sheet. Can I do my quiz for you?
Oh, yeah, please.
We're just sort of rambling along today, by the way, on the program, everybody here. So, did you see who retired?
I want to let everyone know that one of us tried to be organized. I asked Zach, hey, is there a rundown? And then both Zach and Marek laughed at me. They laughed at me. They literally physically guffawed at me for inferring that there should be some level of organization for this show.
No. Spin Frog, by the way. Thanks for the heart attack, Jeff. Spin, I was kidding. I just stepped on my tongue. I just bought a new tongue yesterday. I'm breaking it in with Greg. Cut me a little slack here. Okay, so I did prepare something. I've prepared something, Greg. Justify your paycheck, Marek. So did you see who passed away? Did you see who retired yesterday?
Who? Oh, Louis Eriksson.
Yeah, I'm glad you got excited.
Yeah.
So why do we always talk about Louis Eriksson?
Louis Eriksson is the greatest example. So Louis Eriksson, for about 8 years straight, was referred to as the most underrated player in the NHL.
Yes,
and
correct.
Marek and I would always be like, how many years does it take before you're rated? At the very least rated. Not overrated, just rated. Like by year 5 of you winning most underrated player in the league, you have to be rated at that point.
Correct. It's great. It's so good. So Louis Eriksson retires. Louis Eriksson played 1,050 NHL games. Okay? He's a really good player. I think concussions caught up to him eventually. He was a sort of shell of himself by the time he got to Vancouver. Wonderful player with the Dallas Stars. Part of the Tyler Seguin trade. I thought he played really well in Boston too. Until the Conkeys. And then slowly but surely, year after year, it just wasn't there for Louis Eriksson. But he scored 613 points in his career. He was part of the 2003 draft. Maybe not the best draft of all time, but top 5. Top 5 draft of all time, 2003. Would you say?
Okay.
Like everybody got players? Okay, I'm going to give you some...
Except for one.
What's that?
Except for one. Was that
was that Dylan McElrath? No, not Dylan McElrath.
No, Hugh Jessamine.
Huge specimen. That's
right.
Was
that 2003? Yeah, huge specimen, yeah.
Huge specimen, yes. Ranges. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to give you a player's name from the 2003 draft. Just a few. Just a little bit of spice on the show today. So, did this player score more points than Louis Eriksson?
Louis had 613, you said?
Correct.
Okay.
Did this player have more or less points than Louis Eriksson? Starting with Ryan Kessler.
Oh. I'm going to say less.
You are correct.
Yeah,
Less points. Kessler had
injuries.
573 and played 50 less games. That's good.
Yeah, injuries. Probably had more points than him in the playoffs, though. My God, Kessler was such a warrior in the playoffs.
Okay. Dustin Brown. More points or less points than Louis Eriksson?
Had to be more points. He had first line minutes with Kopitar. Gonna go more points.
Dustin Brown, more points. 712,
right.
almost exactly 100 more points. Well done.
You
well
don't
done.
build a statue of the man if he had fewer points than Louis Eriksson.
That's the bar in Los
That's the
Angeles.
rule.
Did he have more points than Louis
rule.
Eriksson? Give that man a frickin' statue. Shea Weber.
Oh, let's see. Defenseman, but a power play specialist. I'll say fewer points.
You're right.
All right.
You're 3 for 3 on this one. You're like me last week with Ovechkin.
I study the
You know
career
you're
and
Louis
the
Eriksson.
teachings of I study the teachings of Louis Eriksson.
The way of Lou. The way of
The
Lou.
way of Lou. The way of Lou.
Okay, Ryan Suter. Speaking of Shea Weber's old partner with Nashville, Ryan Suter.
Yeah, he so a lesser offensive defenseman than Weber, played for a really long time, like
Still playing.
more than Weber, still playing. 613. I think he might. I think he got over the hump. I'm going to say more than Eriksson.
You're amazing. This is one of your best
Is that right?
performances. Yeah, you're 4 for 4.
Oh, brilliant!
I'm going to give you two more.
What was his total? What was his total?
So far, Ryan Suter is at 691 points.
Yeah, he's a compiler. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, I mean, yeah, 1,500 games. Yeah.
That's a lot of games, dude.
That's a lot of games, man. I like hockey, but I don't like hockey that much. 1,500 games. Holy smokes. Jeez. How many games can you play, bud? Okay.
Jeff hates hockey and international hockey.
Jeff just hates everything today. Oh, man. Okay. David Backes.
Oh, wow. All right. Had some decent offensive years for St. Louis.
Sure did.
Did not have the longevity thing, and wasn't really good early on offensively. So I'm going to say less than.
You're right. You're 5 for 5. Okay, one more.
Yeah.
One more.
Okay.
I'm gonna make this a good one.
Oh, he's going down
I
the
go.
list.
Mike Richards.
All right. Top line minutes in Philly, less than top line minutes in LA. 613, Mike Richards. Injuries, some good years. I'm going to say more than.
Less than. Oh, you were right
Damn
there.
it.
You were building the case to say less.
Yeah.
Why did you
thought
do
maybe-
that? Hang on. Let's get a
thought-
peek. Hang on. Open up your skull for a second. You just built the case for why he was going to have less and then completely doubted yourself and said more.
Yeah.
What's going up with your mind
I thought
tank,
that
man?
maybe he had some real good offensive years in Philly before he went to the
did.
Kings. But
He
you're right.
did. But you built the case
right.
properly, and then you totally didn't believe yourself. You know, about putting me
Yeah.
on the couch. Like, is there anything you want to
It's-
share?
it's-
Is there anything you want to share with the
it's-
group now, Greg?
You know what it's like? It's like Marek. It's like driving all the way to the Canadian border and then you just get stopped because you have something in your car. That's how that whole quiz felt like for me.
Is that how that all worked out?
Yeah.
Well, you were close. You were close. You're right there. And by the way, do you know who the leading scorer from that 2003 draft is in the in that 2003 NHL draft? One of the best drafts of all time. Eric Stahl,
2003?
Patrice Bergeron, Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry, Zach Parise. Like,
It has
great,
to be. It has to be Stahl, right? He's got more points than Getzlaf, right?
He does. He's not number one.
But who has more than both of them?
Joe Pavelski, 7th round.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Joe Pavelski. I remember that draft. Remember we looked at that draft and like, man, this is going to be like the best draft class of all time. Like all these Hall of Famers and blah, blah. Joe, 7th round Pavelski. who finishes with 1,068 points. San Jose Sharks never recovered for letting him go.
That's a man that'll be watching the Four Nations face-off, let me tell you what, Joe Pavelski. That is a cut him and he bleeds red, white, and blue.
Okay. A couple of more things before we wrap things up here with you, Greg Wyshynski, and we get on with our day. Did you see... what did I want to get to with you here today? I know what I wanted to get to with you today. Did you see the incident in Seattle with the two young officials on the weekend?
Terrible.
So
and I missed your update. The Kraken's
Kraken's gonna do something for them and their family. They're gonna at least take them to a game, and they're gonna do what's described to me as something special for the kids, 13 and 14 years old. Look, man, like the whole thing is disgusting. The whole thing is gross. I'm not sure if you read the police report about what the alleged assailant's reason for hitting the ice was, but it's completely ridiculous. One of the things, and maybe I'm just like sensitive to this because I have kids playing minor hockey, youth hockey. One of the things that I've always believed was, in order to get better officials, you need to create an environment where people actually want to do this. This is the opposite of that. Like, this is one of those moments that like sends the chill through every parent when their kid comes up to them and says, "I want to be a referee." And as a parent, you say to yourself, "I don't want my kid subjected to this. Like, not a freaking chance. Yeah. No way." It's like how Canadians feel about when their kid comes up to them and says, "I want to play net. I want to go." Like, that's part of the problem that we have here in Canada, is because, our parents are to blame for bad Canadian goaltending. But I digress. So I think it should be mandatory that as part of your registration for youth hockey, that twice, maybe 3 times a game, your son or daughter have to officiate a game at a lower level. Just so they can get a sense of what it's like to do it. And moreover, so parents can sit in the stands while their kid officiates a game and listens to all the other parents talk about their kid. Good idea, bad idea.
The thing that it's a great idea, because I actually think that could probably help. It gives you a better understanding of what these guys do and what these officials do and what they go through. I also, again, like you have through the years, have seen the numbers drop at all levels of hockey for people that want to become officials. And,
yes,
and a lot of it has to do with the abuse and having to deal with all this stuff for little to no compensation. And that was, obviously, like, there's a lot of emotions that are tied up in seeing a video like that, but that was one of them was, oh, this is why we're struggling. This is why official associations have been sounding the alarm for multiple seasons now on, how they can get more people involved, because they're being scared away by the behavior of psychotic parents at different levels of hockey.
One of the things, Dave Jackson was on. I love Dave. You love Dave. Like,
I love Jackson,
rules analyst. He's fantastic. One of the things that he brought up, which I thought was really interesting as well, is, and I'd never really considered this, but of course, and now I'm going to keep it in the front of my mind when I go to my kids' games. These officials are there without a supervisor. Yeah. There's no supervisors at these games to try to help the officials, protect the officials, encourage none of it. It's like, the end of the game, they just go to their, just go to the refs room, and that's it. Like, there's no, and I know this would be an added cost, and parents, I'm a hockey parent, here's added cost and goes like, oh, we already paid too much for hockey. But we're at a place now where we've just had a 13 and a 14-year-old assaulted on the ice, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I'll pay the added expense to make sure that there's supervision for officials. Like, again, like, I think a lot of this can be done in concert between Hockey Canada and USA Hockey, whether it's like the program that I mentioned off the top here with you about not encouraging, but essentially forcing kids to officiate or try to work the lines for a game, just so you can see how difficult it is. I think it's a moment where both Hockey Canada and USA Hockey can get together and say, look, we got a real problem here with officials in volume and in quality. Let's try to work together to make sure that there's an environment where qualified people really want to do this, and there's a road where they can do this and not get abused and not assaulted on the ice and not followed into the parking lot and not chased home by crazy parents.
Is there a certain amount of self-policing that can happen too with parents
sense?
involved?
There is.
Like,
There is.
You're in
yes.
the
You know what?
community, you tell
There
me.
is. There is. And I'll tell you what. You know what? It can be done by the coaches. And the one thing that the coaches can decide whether a player is on the team or off the team, and can also decide when a player plays or doesn't play.
Yeah.
And I think that there should be again, like, you hate to, like, the kids are going to suffer for the actions of the
I know
parents.
what you're saying,
At
but that's the only way the parents are going to understand.
But coaches are
Yeah.
going to, like, first of all, I like it when I see officials give a team a penalty based on the behavior in the stands. I've seen that plenty of times. I like it. It's a great way to curb the abuse. But I do think that parents or coaches should be able to say, like, we want you to leave, or you're not allowed to come to the game, like, to two parents. And if you come to the game, your kid's not playing. Harsh, but here we are.
But that's how you have to communicate. Like, if you have somebody who misguidedly believes what they're doing is for the betterment of their kid or their kid's team, and it's not, and it's abusive and horrible, well, the only language they're going to understand is, here is how your behavior is costing your kid and costing their team. And it's harsh and it sucks, and it puts the kids in a really terrible situation because of their parents. But at the end of the day, that's the tough love you need sometimes with these people. That's the only thing they'll understand.
Don't disagree. On that, Jordan Bennington starts for Canada on Wednesday. I'm not sure if you saw that news.
Oh my God. It's the best news. It's the best news. Next time we speak, I'll be in Boston for Four Nations next Tuesday.
I'll be into it by then. I'll be into it by then.
Not in Montreal for that.
But
it'll be fun, man.
I'll be into it.
And then also keep in mind, me and Arda doing our official post game show for ESPN on the NHL and ESPN YouTube and Facebook Live after USA Canada on Saturday, which, if you know Arda, means the culmination of a bet we made, which means I will either be garbed in something Canadian or he will be garbed in something American, and one of us will have to. Apparently, part of the bet is one of us will have to read something flattering about the other country, which is going to be tough. Makes me root for the USA even harder.
Canada wins. I know what I'm tuning into. I know what I'm tuning into on Saturday. All right, you be good. We'll talk in 7 days when you're in Beantown. Thanks, pal.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, everybody.
There he is, the great Greg Wyshynski from ESPN and ESPN.com. Okay, tomorrow on the program, we have me getting excited about Canada-Sweden. But more importantly, we've got Zach Hyman. So I recorded something with Zach earlier today, going to present a little sort of snippet of what you can see and hear tomorrow. Want to remind you, FanDuel, our partner here on this program, great friends, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. Games of note, by the way, Natalie Spooner returns for the Scepters as they face off against the New York Sirens, so very much looking forward to that. But wanted to, instead of promoting games, because we don't have any PWHL, we don't have any NHL games or Four Nation Faceoffs games to promote, wanted to play you part of the interview that I did with Zach Hyman earlier on today, the full interview on tomorrow's edition of The Sheet. Enjoy, Zach. We're back in a moment.
Whenever I struggled, like, I'd say the biggest struggle I've ever had was when I went from junior A to college. And leaving junior A, I was a top prospect. I'd won the junior A player of the year, and I went to college, and I thought I was going to go into college, and I thought I was going to be lighted up and be an NHL prospect right away. And I struggled. I scored 2 goals in 40 games. I had 9 points my first year. And then I had 9 points my second year. And I remember sitting in Red's office, we'll talk about Red Berenson again. And he said, Zach, you just have to keep working, and if you're not scoring, you have to learn how to do something else to be effective for our lineup.
And there he is, Zach Hyman of the Edmonton Oilers. Maybe it should have been Zach Hyman of Team Canada. That full interview. How long did we go with him, Zach? It was like 20, 25 minutes with Hyman today?
Yeah, I think it's like 22 minutes, something run time. Yeah.
Okay, so that one tomorrow. He's a big shot now. President, governor, Brantford Bulldogs, OHL, and interestingly enough, never drafted in the OHL, and now he owns an OHL team. That family, by the way, I mentioned this in the interview, The Hyman family have been trying to buy an OHL team, no joke, for 20 years. There have been a few times where they were close to purchasing certain organizations, but it wasn't until Michael Andlauer put the Bulldogs up for sale that the Hyman family was able to consummate the deal and finally get into the Ontario League. They also do own an OJHL team, and that is the Markham Royals, and they are not divesting of that. They're keeping it, and they're running that program and running the Bulldogs program as well. So anyway, we talk a little bit about that. We talk a lot about his career, a lot of stuff about the Maple Leafs, a lot of stuff about the Oilers, and a lot of stuff about his story. So that is tomorrow on the sheet. Zach Hyman, we hope you enjoy that. And hope you enjoy that as much as we enjoyed doing today's show. By the way, every time I looked, again, down at the chat, it was funny, and I was getting roasted, and that's always good. Anything jump out at you today from the from the exchange with Wish that you want to point out? Or maybe even some good from the chat.
People are very much on either end of the Four Nations discussion, which is kind of expected, I guess. There's people who think you're the Scrooge, and people who think you're bang on. So
wrong.
like,
They're not wrong.
It's kind of funny.
I just can't remember an international. I can't remember and again, I use ironic quotation marks when I say this about Four Nations, but an international tournament that I wasn't excited to watch. Again, this may all change tomorrow when the puck drops, but as of right now, I'll go sort my sock drawer out.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I started listening to this morning show, and Colby Armstrong comes on, and he's talking about McDavid and McKinnon and Crosby all playing on the same team, and Makar and Laz was bringing up how cool that is and stuff too. And I was like, that is cool. You know what? Like, and then that was when I started to bite, and I was like, all right, I think I'm in. I was, and then now I'm in. I'm excited.
Reeled you in. You're in.
Yeah, they got me.
Okay.
Other note, by the way.
Yep.
You know, we should do lists. Why not? Like, it's minimal prep that goes in. We should do lists. I was thinking about this. And I want to know, because yours are going to be different. And part of the reason, and we can get people from the chat, much like what we're doing with people sending us these videos that make you laugh, which I think we should play throughout the week here and next week as well. But favorite goal calls, because you guys were talking about announcers and sounds of your childhood. I have a couple, and some of it is because, which I think you'll understand, is like what you used to say with your friends or things that got brought up all the time. So there's two that stick out to me.
Okay.
One is great save, Luongo.
Oh yeah, Jim Houston. Oh, that's fantastic.
That one is
he was
always in my head.
Yeah.
And when you're like playing road hockey with your buddies or in practice, the 10 makes a good save and someone yells that out.
Paul
like, that
Matier.
was something for us.
Okay, our generation was Paul Matier. That was our Paul
like
Matier.
that.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the Sidney Crosby, the golden goal. That one is always like, but that's probably
Chris
resonates
Cuthbert.
way more with Canadians. Yeah, CC there with that call.
I mean, Do You Believe in Miracles is the great one from
Yeah.
1980. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Am I a bad Canadian if I say this? Foster Hewitt's call of Henderson in 72 was really bad. That was an awful call of that humongous goal for Canada. That's an awful call. You know what's a really good call of that one? 72 Henderson? CBC Radio. The television call is Foster Hewitt. They dragged him out of retirement for that one. And it's an awful call. It's terrible.
Okay.
But you know what was really good? The radio call.
I'll listen to it.
CBC. You know who did the radio call? A very young Bob Cole. His call of Henderson's goal in 72, much better than Foster Hewitt. Like, it's not even close. It's not even close. Am I a bad Canadian for saying that Foster's call was awful?
I'll listen. It doesn't like stick out to me, so I can't definitively say whether I do or don't know it.
Do You Believe in Miracles, though, is the best one for me. That's even as a Canadian, I just say it and I'm just like, tingles. Like that's perfect. It's perfect. Okay, on that we'll wrap. Thanks to everyone in the chat as always. Thanks to Wyshynski from ESPN. Thanks to Zach Phillips, who does a lot of legwork on this show and does a lot of things and puts together a lot of things on this program. And I just like drive through stop signs. And we end up the day going like, oh, we didn't do this, we didn't do this, we didn't do this. And I go like, I'm sorry, Zach. Bad host. You should have known that by now. Thanks so much.
I had no sheet today for you. I had nothing.
Yeah, you were slacking.
Every day I do, but
You're
today
bad.
it was like, what am I putting on this sheet? The
You were
boys
like,
got it.
You were like the Foster Hewitt in 72, man, on the Henderson call. You were terrible today. All right, Foster. All right. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Thanks for listening on your preferred podcast platform, or maybe both. Glad to have you aboard here on the program. It's fun, right? It beats working for a living. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the sheet. 3 o'clock Eastern. Don't forget, Morning Cup of Hockey. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern. I think Daily Faceoff Live is at noon tomorrow. Should probably check on that. I know yesterday they did 7. Today they did noon. Live from Montreal, and then this little monkey act that me and Zach do, and that guy over my left shoulder, the chimp. Let's get out of the way. Star of the show, right there. There he is. Say goodnight. Turn your microphone around the proper way. Figure this out. There we go. All right, chimp. Signing off for the chimp. We're back tomorrow. If you enjoyed that video, and we certainly hope that you do, please hit the subscribe button right there here at Daily Faceoff. I will put this lineup up against any hockey lineup anywhere. It all gets underway at 9 o'clock Eastern with Morning Cup of Hockey. That is Johnny Lazarus. That is Colby Cohen. Then at noon, it's DFO Live. And then 3 o'clock Eastern, The Sheet. Get caught up on everything in hockey.